Okay, hello, welcome to this week's edition of the Weekly Outlook. Today is August 18th, 2024, and the crypto markets do not look good. I've been saying for a couple weeks now that we do not want to be buying dips. Ever since we got this big weekly red candle on Bitcoin a number of weeks ago, we have just been sideways at these lows since then. Total crypto market cap is now fully bearish, and that might have been the retest for all we know. And if we do continue to go lower, that EMA will kind of drop down a little bit more, and it might even touch that wick. Bitcoin is the only thing giving me hope. Why? Because its EMAs, while they are currently crossed bearish, if this current weekly candle that just opened gets up high enough this week and closes, it could curl those EMAs back up bullish again. So this is the last week of hope, in my opinion. I think that Ethereum is definitely bearish on the weekly, and it can't even get back up to retest that 236 yet. I was planning on exiting last week on that retest at 2846, and it just never got there. It got into the zone that I had mapped out here, this gray zone. It peaked in there briefly, and then lost it all fairly quickly after touching that area. Looking at total 2, which is everything except for Bitcoin, we never even touched the EMAs here either. So we have the support sitting here, which we did hold, so that's kind of good news. And maybe we get that one last test push back up to the 8 EMAs. But until we get back up over both of them, which is a pretty tall order after they cross bearish, I can't see being confident holding crypto any longer. I have sold all of my altcoins. I actually sold all of them mostly weeks ago. And I just got rid of the last little bit that I had this weekend because those things are just not performing well. And if you think about your investments like you are a company, right? And your investments are your employees. If those employees are not returning value to you, if you're paying them more than they're bringing back to the company, what do you do with those employees? You fire them, right? And you got to go find new employees. So that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be firing employees, and I'm going to be searching for better ones. The stock market is generating great gains still. Crypto, not so much. If we compare Bitcoin to the NASDAQ, it is also bearish on the weekly, and we just closed a candle below the 786 and the pivot here. And let me zoom out so it shrinks these pivots. There is your R2 pivot, so that level is important. You got two things showing us that level is important. Could we get a bounce this week back up to retest these EMAs? Absolutely. That is what I'm looking for to ultimately exit. But there's nothing that says that has to happen. You can see that our MACD line here has peaked down below center. That is a bearish momentum indication. While the averages are still above 50 and above center, we could get a bounce, right? But that bounce could be short-lived, and we could totally reject this area at 2846. And until we get back up over that or reclaim at least the weekly EMA, 8 EMA here, this is not good. This is a short chart. Now, what I think could happen is we could head back down to these lows. And if I zoom out on Ethereum, you can see this is our main uptrend, right? And that big fall we had is where that line touched. And then we bounced pretty significantly. And since then, we've been just pretty stagnant sideways in this little range. So what could happen, and what maybe is going to be the saving grace at some point, is we travel back down towards this line and kind of just, mosey around here and then reclaim and head back higher. That is totally possible, and that would maintain the uptrend. However, when the EMAs are bearish, in crypto, I get out. Like, I don't take those chances. I like to invest in things that work, and when weekly EMAs are bearish, they don't work. Now, we could totally get something like this, right? But see how many weeks this took? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 weeks. That's 2.5 months. And we're so far only like 2 to 3 weeks into this. So that's totally how long it could take for this to finally find a base and start heading back up higher. And I would much rather put my capital towards something that will, return value in the meantime. So I do plan on selling Ethereum and Bitcoin this week. Bitcoin, like I said, is the only thing that could possibly give us a nice bounce. And if that happens, great. maybe we can hold on. And I'll keep you kind of updated during the week as to what I'm thinking, and when I actually do get out of crypto completely. Looking at equities is the opposite story. We got the exact candle that I was actually looking for last week. I did think that this was going to happen, especially with the NASDAQ. I was commenting quite often in the chats how I saw these EMAs potentially about to curl with this hammer doji here coming off the bottom of the channel. So if you followed me on those QQQ calls, we did very, very well. I'm currently long on Tesla and I'm currently long on Square. I think those could do really well this week. This is a really nice like Wyckoff accumulation. And while the EMAs are not yet bullish on the weekly, which is what I would prefer to see, we did close inside the EMAs, and so that's a great start. So for Square, I'm just looking to hold this little area down here, but ideally I would prefer it just continue higher. You can see there's a pivot here at 68.72, so that's going to be our first resistance. If you grab those calls with me on Friday, then that's where I'm going to be taking my profits first, because you take profits at resistance levels. That's just what you do. Looking at total, we could get that 8 EMA retest. Looking at USDT dominance, if you go to the linear chart, meaning take yourself out of log mode, because this is where you want to see the trend line. This touch right here marked the crypto high, all-time high, and in hindsight, that should have been where we sold, right? Like this chart here has been holding that trend line since 2018. Why would it change now? There was a lot of narrative like talk back then, like the ETFs are driving a lot of the price action now, and so maybe USDT dominance isn't much of a factor because people are using cash and equities to purchase crypto now, which is probably why altcoins are continuing to suffer. There's no longer a way for people to exchange their ETFs for altcoins, whereas before people had to buy spot and then they could easily convert their Bitcoin and Ethereum into alts. So this isn't great. This chart is definitely bullish. If we get over that pivot, I think it's over. Like I think the bull market's over if we clear this pivot. So 6.65% on USDT dominance is kind of the spot to watch. If we get over that, I think we just might have a top of the cycle already, and that's not great. But there's still quite a ways to go for that to happen, and we could reject and start coming lower again. But momentum is starting to get into the positive territories here and here on the RSI and MACD. So it's not like I don't think we're just gonna head straight back up from here. It's going to take a while if it is going to recover. Let's see, the Dow Jones recovered back over its trend line, so this is a lot of crazy price action going on in the equities markets, which is why it's fun to trade and why I will be focusing most of my attention over there and staying away from crypto for the most part. Ethereum, Bitcoin, this could bounce. We definitely found support here at the S2 here 2 weeks in a row now. Got a green inside bar, and we could head higher if we get over the 382 at 4617, which you can see that's where we rejected last week. Then we can potentially head back towards that 0.05 level. That'd be great. That would be where I exit. This will be a bearish retest of that 0.05 level this time, whereas before we were looking for a bullish one on top, and we just could never get it. So that's what Ethereum could potentially do, and you can see how that 8 EMA is starting to line up well with that 236, and so that's where I'm really wanting to exit. That would get us at least an extra 10%ish from here, so that would be nice to add to. If you've been following me for any length of time, we bought way down here years ago, and Bitcoin we bought like down at 16K in this zone, so it's not like we can say we're not profitable, right? When these EMAs cross bearish, that's when you exit. When they cross bullish, that's when you enter. So if we just remain true to our rules, we can't lose, right? That's the way that I look at it. Could I potentially have to buy higher later on because I'm selling below and I gotta wait till these EMAs cross bullish again to buy back in? Absolutely, but I'm totally willing to do that because I feel way more comfortable buying something that's bullish than trying to hang on to something that's bearish that could hurt me, right? So just trying to keep it real. I know it's probably not what everybody wants to hear, But this is important. This is why we do it. We do it for profits and hopefully to help your families and so on. So with that, I believe, the Bitcoin NASDAQ chart. I think I covered that, but this is another reason why we want to be focusing more on equities than on crypto. And people are probably going to be asking me soon, like, when do we short crypto? I don't really feel comfortable shorting it just yet. I would rather wait for these EMAs to really cross bearish. And when that happens, the best time to short is on the 0.5 retest. And I'll show you an example of that. When a market goes bearish in crypto, like here, for example, right? You want to wait for this move back up to short. And you'll just simply draw that right there, and you'll short the 0.5. And that's what I did here, and I was able to make out quite well on that 0.5 retest. Many people don't know this, but you can treat a bear market just like you can a bull market. It's just flipped upside down. And you can make actually more money in a bear market than you can in a bull because it falls faster. You can get in and get out quick and re-enter and get in and get out quick. Maybe we don't get this parabolic move like crypto has seen in years past. Maybe that's it. I don't know. I'm not willing to risk it because it hasn't happened yet, right? Like, because it hasn't given us that huge move, and it has always before, that's not enough for me to like hold and hope when EMAs are bearish. I would rather wait because there's no telling if that's actually going to happen again or not. Everybody's expecting it, so therefore, why should it happen, right? Okay, so I think that covers everything. Yeah, the dollar is very bearish, and crypto's not following the opposite way. So basically, the dollar's falling, crypto's falling. It's not a great sign. If equities continue to rise while the dollar falls, that's a good sign for equities, and it's a bad sign for crypto. All right, so any questions, please feel free to drop them in the chat. Any chart requests, I will do them live here in front of you. Gold. I think gold's doing well. I got a little bit in it. And let's see, we'll use this chart. Yeah, that's bullish. So it's still just, grinding higher highs, higher lows, and we could see as high as this 1.618. That's my main target anyway. So we got in, when we broke this line here is when I bought. And so I've just been kind of hanging on to it. It's just one of those steady gainers when it's in a bull market. So it's easy to hold on to. We're through all the pivots, so those are useless. And we just got through the 1.414, so that's even better. So now this 2470 level becomes support, and I'm hoping we go eventually see this 1.618. And gold doesn't move, like crypto does, so it's kind of like you got to hold on to it for a while. Could I do a 2026 option on GLD? Yeah, let's go look at GLD. So these other ones don't necessarily follow as well, so let's take a look at it. Oh, it's following. So you'll want to take that downtrend. Let's go to the monthly, it'll be easier. So you'll want to take either this one, come on, magnet. So 239 is going to be the next main resistance there. Pivots are useless. Okay. So then we'll do this downtrend too and see if we get anything that line like a fib cluster of some sort somewhere. Wow, so we got over that 1.618. So that's good. So that 227.74-ish level will become your new support. And your next main target level will be 239. Get through that. And look how nicely all of this lines up here, the 2.272 and the 1.618. I would venture to guess that would be like the main target. And I'm not going to say it's going to go like straight there. But like just as a long-term hold, you could see something like, am I drawing things? I'm drawing dots? I thought I was drawing arrows. But something along those lines where it kind of just moseys on up there. slowly but surely. I think gold's a great hold right now for sure. I hope that helps. As far as an options, I'd have to look at I'd have to look at the Greeks and everything on it, and I can certainly try to do that later on tonight. DM me and I will to remind me to do that, and I will give you what I think would be like the best strikes on that. Okay. Any other questions? S&P 500 and Solana. Thanks, brother. Yeah. So ES is gonna have support now at the 5522-ish area where that 8 EMA is kind of folding up underneath it. So we could see as low as 5504 this week. Maybe we get a little bit of a pullback to shake out the longs, but that's kind of where I want to long again if I get the opportunity. And then I'm going to try to take profits on the retest of that wedge. And that would be a bearish retest of that wedge. And so we'll see if it wants to clear it. But I do still think that the ultimate target for this is going to be the 1.618 of this retracement here. So that would get us right up to the top of the wedge again. And then ultimately, that's where I would want to take at least a short scalp of some sort, because 1.618s, they don't lie. Like, you get reactions out of those. It might not be right away, and I think I mentioned this before. I don't want to take it as soon as it touches it. I might scalp it like the very first time it touches it and scalp a put or something like a day trade, but I don't want to swing it until I actually see this kind of rejected a couple times at the very least. And I think we still have, we have till November when elections are here, and I think that we'll continue to be bullish in equities until then at the very least, because that's just typically how it goes. And then after elections, I think I might take a long-term short on both ES and NQ to hold for a while, to at least kind of start to hedge my portfolio, my long terms. Because even if I do think that we're going into a major bear market or recession, I don't plan on selling all of my long-term stocks, right? Like, they're long-term for a reason. But I will definitely be taking profits on the ones that I'm up super heavy on, keeping a minimal amount of those forever because they're free, and then starting to hold cash and, maybe even gold. Gold might, probably does well. Even in a recession, people got to put their money somewhere, and the dollar is usually not the answer. So we'll just see where that money's flowing, and that's where I'll stick the money. Solana, I'm hoping you meant Solana, not Solano. So Sol is just one I've never really held in this cycle. I am drawing things. How did I get on that? I don't want to be drawing things. I would get rid of that. That's annoying. No, there's a dot on my chart. Okay. So, we're still in a pennant. It's a tough one. So it's still in a pennant. It's still in the greed FOMO zone. The EMAs are not technically bearish. The EMAs actually look better than Bitcoin's, which is just crazy. So yeah, it's not bearish yet, and we're still in the pennant, so this totally could, continue higher and curl those EMAs up and maybe head up to our take profit targets one day. Who knows? Solana's and Bitcoin look like the best things to have at the moment. Ethereum looks like dog doo-doo, and I wish I was a Solana maxi and not an ETH maxi this cycle. That's all I can say. Anything else? Any other questions? Oh, silver. I didn't even see that. I'm sorry. Let's look at silver. Is that SLV? I hardly look at silver. I think that's SLV. Hey, that's a nice move. Ooh, I like that. Yeah, that's pretty nice. So there's like an old trend line I put there a long time ago, and now it's crossing back over. And that look right there is, if you use these EMAs, that is what you want to see. When you see this move and they're not bearish and they're starting to curl and you open below and close above, that's really bullish. Like, I would definitely consider taking a call option to this $27 mark at the very least. And if you go several months out and this follows gold, you could easily be in the money on that and head into the top of this golden pocket, which we have not hit yet. I'm trying to figure out where that's even coming from. So that's the main golden pocket too. So I fully think that this is going to 31.36 minimum. Yeah, and you got a previous R3 right there from last year. So this $30 to 30 this $38 area, this 6.8 is almost, I would say, a shoe-in to go up there and make another high. There's no divergence here because that's high, that's low, that's low. So it's just resetting, bouncing off the 50% level here on the RSI. See, like, I think I might just sell my Ethereum and just put it into silver and gold right now. Like, this is a much better looking chart. I can have confidence in that, even if it's only going to net me 10%. Ethereum's losing 10% a month right now. Like, it's terrible. So, might be what I do. I might just do that. I appreciate you showing me that, because I rarely look at metals, and I should probably pay more attention to them. All right. Any more questions? Silver is the original Ethereum. I guess that's true. I mean, it definitely didn't do well, here. So, and that was a 2.5 year hold. Yeah. So you gotta catch it when it's right, and these EMAs do a really good job of letting you know when that time is. And right now, these EMAs are telling us a story. So, silver miners also picking up. SILJ. All right, let's look at it. Yeah, so there you go. Straight through everything. I mean, we went through a 21 EMA, a pivot, and an 8 EMA and closed over. That's a great move. Just to give you an example of what happens when you open below and close above the EMAs, and then look at all that action, right? So that could totally be what we're in for here. Let's see, is there a downtrend to measure here? It's a very, very sideways market. So you'd have to take, in this example, when you have a market that's sideways, most people will be like, oh, I'll measure the last downtrend here. But if the original downtrend encompasses the entire thing, like this high is higher than everything else and this low is lower than everything else, then you'll want to measure here. And these are going to be your levels until a new high is made. And come on. All right, so we're back into the golden pocket. And that 1264 mark is going to be a big spot. So I would say you could probably definitely long from here to there, take your profits, wait for a close over, and then grab the retest support of it to try to take it even higher than that. And that's how I would approach that one. But that looks good. And when the week opens, you could try to see if you get a retest of the 8 EMA to start that with, right? Like, see if you can catch just under 12. To go long, but when you're at a psychological whole number like $12, sometimes that just holds, just because it's a whole number. Silver typically trails gold, yeah, and that makes sense. So when you're trading gold, if it makes a nice move, then maybe we can come over and play with silver. Sounds fun. I'm down. All right. Anything else? Going once, going twice. Sorry to give you the bad news. Oh, I've almost forgot. I have news. So last week I didn't have a live stream, and the reason is because I found out that I'm gonna have another baby. Yes, my wife is pregnant, and we're gonna have another baby, and that's pretty cool. So it looks like I might not get to retire until I'm like 65, but it's a blessing, and we're excited. So, yeah, we got a lot of fun ahead. Thanks, guys. All right, with that, I will conclude and see you all during the week. Have a good one.